Hi, my name is Ashley, and today we're doing plant chores. I actually have so many plant chores to do that I wrote a to-do list. So let's get started. So first thing I have to do, I just need to make some soil. I have the other additives ready, but I keep all my soil in bricks like this. It's just easy to carry upstairs and stuff. So I need to prep a couple. And then I'm just putting them flat and putting some water on it. It will probably need more water than this, but I'll wait for it to expand a little bit. And then I'll just kind of wait. If you want to speed it up, you can try to break it, because then there's just more surface area. It'll do it on its own too. So I'm just going to be honest, I think this is one of the most neglected plants I've ever had. And it's been very nice to still be alive, but it's this mature dragon-tail pathos. It's getting a lot of crispy edges, which kind of stinks. And you can see on the bottom, it's just this whole like root ball. It doesn't even sit flat anymore. It's like curved. So I think I'm gonna keep it in this pot because I don't really want to put it in anything bigger, nor do I have anything bigger. But I'm gonna chop off some of the roots, give it a haircut, kind of clean up some of the leaves and water it, and hopefully it's happier afterwards. I think I'm just gonna start by this is gonna be very messy, but I think I'm just gonna start by chopping off some of these roots. Yeah, this is so root bound. Look at all these roots. Wow. This might be kind of hard. This might be a little bit harder than I was expecting. Okay. I guess just give it a big hug. Loosen it up a bit, maybe. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I feel even worse for this plant now that I'm doing this. I feel like it's starting to come out. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Oh my goodness. This is like only roots. Start cleaning some of this plant up. This is just roots. Like, I get why this is like a total root ball. Look at these roots. All the way up here at the top of the pot. I think I'm not too worried about this plant's roots right now, so I'm just gonna cut them. I just need to get rid of some of these. I don't know if you see that. This is just like, just roots. Definitely was way too root bound. I just need to get rid of some of these. Part of my problem was I was watering it, but it wouldn't really take in the water, probably because it was just full of roots. I just kind of need to start over with this plant. This is like the wildest I think, repot I've ever experienced. And there's the bottom of the wooden stake. That's cool. It's finally unraveling. Do you see that? Wow, this plant's gonna do so good after this. Be so happy and healthy. Okay, so for this plant, I am planning on putting some cocoa coir in this. And then I'll obviously do like perlite and all the other additives. Mix that in. Very nice. So some of the planty chores I'm gonna do today. This is one of my first planty chores videos. So I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure out like what to talk about while I do the planty chores. But some of the planty chores I'm gonna do today is obviously I am going to mix some soil. I need to pot some begonia propagations today. And then I'm also planning on obviously repotting my mature dragontail pathos. I need to water my plants like really badly, and I'm planning on adding some supplements into my water just because I find that to be a super easy way to treat my plants, is just adding it in their weekly watering. This is probably like one of the biggest plant maintenance projects, is this repotting of my mature dragontail pathos, just because it's been something I've been procrastinating on for probably 6 months. It just like slowly has declined, and I thought it would be like root rot or mold or something, but I was kind of surprised when I lifted it up the first time that it was just like, I don't even think I'll need this. I was kind of surprised the first time I lifted it up that it was like not even flat at the bottom anymore. It was like busting out so much that it was like curving at the bottom. I'm kind of just mixing till I feel good. I do want it to be chunkier, but I also want it to be water retaining because I am really bad at watering my plants. So I'll be adding some perlite and some vermiculite. I live like on a high floor in an apartment building, and I have no access to outside. So I don't have like a balcony, I can't open my windows. I live in a city, so I'm pretty disconnected to nature. So it's kind of fun that I get to like play with dirt like this all the time. And it looks like it's a pretty good consistency. Here's what it looks like. I'm gonna add quite a bit of perlite to it. So I'm gonna add perlite and vermiculite, and I try to put on a mask while I do this because the dust can get in your lungs and it's really bad for you. Another tip is you can actually wet down the perlite, and I've noticed the dust doesn't really spread that way. Vermiculite is probably my favorite additive because it's so pretty. It's like plant glitter, and I really like glitter. I've been liking this one more and more because it's like, it definitely helps with water retention, but I just feel like it makes the plant mix look so pretty, and also it helps with my bad habits of never watering my plants. I try to keep my perlite somewhat damp because then I notice that there's like no dust, which usually you'll see a cloud of dust. Perlite's really cool too because it stops all the rot and just really aerates your plants, which is good. Especially because like one of my setups I try to do is I try to like minimize drainage holes unless they're needed for the plant. So for a lot of my begonias, if I'm getting to pot them in like my preferred method, I'll actually skip the drainage hole because I don't water them and they're really finicky about water. So if I add perlite in, I feel a little bit less bad about not having a drainage hole. This looks like a really good mix. I'm really excited about this. So this is what the mix looks like. I have vermiculite, perlite, cocoa coir, and chunk cocoa coir. I usually add charcoal too, but I'm out of that right now. And now I'm gonna put this in. Roots. Just gonna fill up the pot. So some of the other things that I'm planning on doing today in the video is I'm hoping to put a Monstera adansonii on a moss pole I have. I also am hoping to potentially put this, I think it's someone told me it was a midrilla, something like that, silver spider. It's really pretty, and I looked up a mature version of one today, and I really like all the fenestrations and just how it looks on a moss pole. So they've also said that they don't really do well not on a moss pole, so it's kind of more of an essential. And I definitely feel like that's true because it's been very leggy for me. feel like this is potting up quite nice. This isn't as hard as I thought it was. I've been putting this off for a while. I think this is just gonna do so well. I'm gonna try to pack the soil in a bit more. I'm kind of surprised to not have like found this with like a bunch of pests or something at the bottom. I was expecting this to be like, I was expecting there to be mold and other things, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised that it was just roots. Okay, I guess it is a little tilted, isn't it? So let's fix that. And she's beautiful! Yay! Potted up, so nice. Next, I'm gonna kind of clean off the leaves. I wanna trim some of the dead leaves off. I wanna just like give this plant like a full makeover. I got these really cute microfiber gloves off of Amazon. I seen another plant person have them. And I was like, oh, that would make cleaning leaves so much easier. And they're just like awesome for cleaning leaves. I'm gonna be using isopropyl alcohol mixed with water, just like a reduced, because one, it will kill pests if there are any, and then two, it just does a good job cleaning the leaves. Also, I know it's kind of strong for plants, but I never really noticed any detriment to any of the plants, and I've done this with like alocasias. Yeah, I said it, alocasias. So if it doesn't hurt the alocasias, I don't know if it'll hurt these. I think it's just important to keep it out of highlight, which I have zero direct light in my apartment, and I can't wait to have a house someday and get to have a garden, have some more room for my plants, because right now I'm in a studio apartment and I really like it, but it makes it harder to have a lot of plants in a small space. Something I've started doing lately is just cutting off the crispy ends, because I feel like it just isn't super fun looking at a plant and seeing crispy ends for me. I'm kind of a perfectionist sometimes, but if I cut them off, I don't see them. The plant probably doesn't really care. Then I don't have to feel like a bad plant parent. I just give it a little cut. This leaf I think I'm just gonna take off because it's pretty damaged. And I don't want to feel bad about it. Beautiful. Ta-da! Just gonna cut some of these off now. Out with the old and with the new. Especially if you cut them like in the shape of the leaves, you don't even notice you cut some off later. You have to like really look at it. Kind of like that one. Just looks normal now. This one definitely, I didn't do this, but look at this leaf. It literally has a hole in it that isn't supposed to be there. Plant complete. So next, I actually have quite a bit of variegated begonias I need to pot. So I'm gonna mix the soil, but while I'm waiting, I tend to do them in sphagnum moss. You can see it just works very good. Like, these are all roots. This is a begonia root. And you can see all the leaves. This started from one leaf and now it has 4. I just think this is the best method by far. I plan on doing an angel wing care video and how to propagate, etc. I try to take a little bit of the sphagnum moss off, whatever I easily can. And anything I easily can't, I actually just put in water. It's definitely the downside of propagating with moss versus just perlite, but so you can kind of see it on my shirt. You can see all those roots. That's a lot of roots for begonia, especially they're so fine that there's like 10 roots all connected. I think these might be some of the prettiest leaves I've ever seen. Okay, let me show you. If you see that, there you go. You can see the green dots. It's almost like it's polka dotted with green. But yeah, so I tend to do them in moss. That just has it's the highest rate that works besides like straight into soil in a prop box. Perlite works and it's more convenient. So sometimes I do it for less expensive begonias that I don't really care if they all work out. But sphagnum moss is just clear winter, tends to do better. So I'm gonna mix this mix. This is my begonia mix. A lot of people have asked what my mix I use for all of my angel wing begonias is, and actually it's pretty similar to my other mixes. I've learned that begonias do not like to dry out whatsoever. They don't like to dry out. Like, that's their one thing. I feel like they're pretty nice plants to me. The only time they're not nice is when I forget to water them and it dries out completely. I haven't really noticed many begonias and like root rot issues. My issue is almost never root rot, like seriously never root rot. It's always me forgetting to water my plants. I tend to do a high water retention mix instead of like a chunkier mix. I know some people use sand in their begonia mix, but I kind of just want to make my mix in a way that is easy for me. So I use a heavy vermiculite to perlite ratio, and then I use some cocoa coir too. I don't use any chunky mix. I know I've seen some people use chunky mix in their begonias, but since I have the problem of underwatering, I just don't. Also, that gets to my other point of like, I actually don't have drainage holes in most of my begonias because, again, I underwater. I do not have the problem of overwatering ever, almost ever. So I just try to do something that works for me, works with my watering. And it tends to do pretty well because a begonia will lose quite a few leaves if you forget to water it. It's not as forgiving as like a pathos. So I'm gonna propagate all of these, and then immediately, this is like something I've learned from mistakes, immediately I put it in the prop box to put on my shelf, or at least seal. Because if I do not seal it, then it is not very happy with me and they tend to die. So since this one already has really healthy roots, I'm gonna put it in a 4-inch pot. I'm gonna dip the roots in this like rooting thing. I don't really know, but it seems to work pretty well. I did a test on it. It's okay if there's some soil on the leaves, but I do try to get the soil off the leaves before I leave it in the prop box. So you'll see later I have a little bottle, like a squeeze bottle, and it has a pretty high pressure, so it pretty much washes the dirt off of the leaves. I really like begonias. They're awesome. Sometimes what I do with the moss and perlite mix afterwards is if it's like just looking not very good, not something I want to reuse, I'll go ahead and put it in a bucket, and I'm gonna use that for moss poles. So now I have a Ginny Galaxy, and oh my goodness, this one looks rough, but its roots are looking good, so I think it's gonna do really well in soil. I've noticed Ginny Galaxies are by far the most fragile begonia I have, especially while propagating, but the roots grow very quickly, very nicely. I'll show you this, and I'll probably scoot you guys up. But yeah, you can see all those roots. It looks like it's hanging on to dear life, but it's not. I promise. It's doing good. Again, I'm just gonna drop it into the rooting hormone. I don't know if I feel like it does something. Roots are just fabulous on this, so literally have to make sure they all fit in the pot. The small pot. It's like a 2-inch pot. I try to make sure there's no like chunks of cocoa coir in it. And another thing is you can always like add or remove a little bit of soil later, so I try to I don't need to completely fill the pot, just want to make sure the roots are in there. Beautiful! So this is another variegated snow-capped begonia. One of the reasons why I started making YouTube videos was because I really like talking about plants, but I didn't really have anyone to talk about plants with. So I decided to just start a YouTube video and talk about all my plants, and that was one of my first like videos I put out, was my first plant tour. It was awesome because it's like, first of all, the plant community is super kind and super nice, which has been amazing because I know I don't know everything about plants, and I'm still a beginner in comparison to a lot of the people out there. It's really nice and fun to be able to kind of just like talk to people about it. It's like the most uplifting thing ever when I get comments, and it's like things I've talked about, you know, potentially 30 minutes into the video, and they're obviously watching it and listening to it, and they'll like comment on something I said 30 minutes into the video, and it's so sweet because it's like, wow, like they actually watched me talk about plants for 30 minutes. Is this real life? I'm excited to be able to focus a bit more on this and really try to make this work, at least on a lower level. I guess it's just a passion thing, and it's really fun having a passion thing. So thanks for watching. I used to try to talk to my boyfriend about plants. That's kind of like one of the reasons why I made a YouTube video, is because I realized a lot of the people in my real life weren't interested in plants. They would listen to me because they were interested in me, not necessarily plants, and talking about plants for an hour was boring for them. It's really cool that I get to film these and kind of like do chatty videos and someone will probably watch it. It's kind of just awesome that people like come to my videos and listen to them and are interested in them, and I've gotten so many like super kind comments from people helping me like ID plants or giving me tips. I've had so many people be super kind about some of like my goofy comments of like my dog. I wasn't expecting this much kindness, but I surely am appreciating it. So something I want to show you guys with begonia propagations is, in my experience, the first leaf that I always try to propagate always dies, always. It gets really damaged. I'm guessing it's just like a lot of stress. But once it has other leaves, all the other leaves look great. Okay, so we're actually done with all my all my cups of propagations, which is awesome. I'm gonna just keep these here because I might put some more in here later. Actually, I have a couple more. I'm gonna show you a new begonia you haven't seen yet today. I'll show you the new begonia. So this is a dainty spray begonia. You can kind of see it has like 2 roots on it. I rooted this leaf in perlite. And then this is a dainty spray begonia that I rooted in sphagnum moss perlite mix. You can see how much longer the roots are. I did it at the same time, kind of as an experiment. Here's the 2. The top one is the perlite one only. The bottom one is the sphagnum moss and perlite. If you look at the leaves, this one is the one I rooted just in perlite. This one is the one I rooted in sphagnum moss and perlite. So you can see the clear winner, and sometimes it's more damage than this and the leaf actually dies. If I'm doing a more expensive begonia, I try to do it in sphagnum moss. That would be like my top preferred method. Very excited about these. These are newer begonias to me and it looks really pretty. Okay, so I have one more Ginny Galaxy, which is looking pretty crazy right now, honestly. But the roots look good. Ta-da! Just gonna pot this and move on with my life. I think what I'm gonna be doing moving forward is probably a bit less in the cups and more just like rooting small cuttings through soil, my soil method. I feel like it works really well, and also it's just nice not having to take the time and potentially damage a plant by transferring it to soil later. It's looking really good so far. I have so many plants. So next I'm gonna take some cuttings from these are my mother plants that I have that I take cuttings from frequently, and I'm just gonna try to get as many as I can because I'm going to PlantCon in August, end of August, which I can't even believe this is real. It's in New York City, and I'm from the Midwest, so this is like a big deal to me, and it's also kind of like the first time I'm really following my dreams in life, so very excited for that. I'm so proud of myself for taking the leap. I'm gonna come back to this one. I'll start with this one. This one looks pretty easy. I'm literally kind of taking I'm just gonna take it all because see how much that is. That's like a full plant if I wanted to root that. But I'm gonna take it all because, I don't know, I'm just going to. I'm gonna leave 2 leaves on this plant. So you can see this plant has drastically changed. I cut all of these leaves off, which is like probably close to 15 leaves. And now it has 2 leaves left, but it's okay because it'll grow back. Ta-da! I think I'm gonna propagate these in sections that they came in, I think. So they have some leaves on them. I might cut this into, I think for some of the smaller ones especially. Wow. It's so cool making more plants out of plants. The cool thing too is that if I don't end up selling these plants, then I can just make more plants. This is the thing that like got me into propagating, is it's just so cool that you can just like cut a plant and make more plants for free. That's awesome. Now the crazy thing is that was only 1 plant and I have so many to go. I don't think it's gonna be super interesting. I am gonna clean up these plants a little bit because these are like living dangerously. And I just don't want them anymore. Don't want the leaves. Looks so much prettier now. Come Coming back to this one. This one, I'm gonna start with this one, I think. This one has quite a bit of growth. I think this might have even been the first one I ever got. She's really pretty. She's beautiful. Has a lot of growth. I think I tried to wait to cut this one. One leaf left. Look at how many leaves I took off of this. I'm gonna leave these on because there's not really another good place to cut it. I still have one more. I just kind of went for it and cut all the leaves off. So I need to make sure I seal this prop box because otherwise it would be really bad. Just gonna show you real quick all the leaves. So they have a little dirt on them, but here are most of the leaves I'm planning on propagating. Okay, so obviously I have a lot of variegated begonias, and these are mainly for plant con, so I can prep some of them. I'm gonna water them and put them under a grow light quickly. So I'm gonna go do that, but look how many I got done. Right now, I'm gonna combine some of my Monster Adanzoniae. Some of them still just kind of need a fresh start. So I'm gonna repot at least one of these and combine them most likely. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna cut it all. It does have some really good roots though. Maybe I'll just plant the roots. This leaf isn't terrible. Maybe I'll plant this somewhere just to fill things up a little bit. Something. This is gonna have to change. It has some pretty decent roots on it, but make it a bit fuller. It is quite a bit more full, so I think it looks a lot better now. This one is, look at this. This is the saddest plant I've seen in a while. Take the dead leaves off and start fresh. Well, not really fresh, but in a different pot. Try to get the roots down in there. I used to have a really hard time with Monster Adanzoniae for some reason, and lately I've been not having a hard time with them. They've been growing like so much that I can't really keep up with them anymore. I rinsed off the leaves and I feel like these look like really good plants now. Here is the other one, definitely a lot better at least than it was. So I did forget I was gonna put my Monster Adanzoniae on a moss pole. This one I used to have a Monster Adanzoniae on, but it just got some pests and I decided it wasn't worth the hassle. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one that I just kind of like, I guess, replenished in there. I guess I'll remove some of the soil I just added in. Just push it towards the front and see if I can remove enough soil to get it in there. I think that might be perfect. But not quite. Still have quite a bit to remove. But some of the roots are literally like sticking out the sides. So here it is so far. And then I'm gonna try to put some of these like roots in the moss. Hopefully tie it on. It doesn't have to be perfect. This one will be really good. I'm gonna go ahead and wash the leaves off real quick and wash my hands off a little bit, and then I'll put it on a moss pole. Then I have this gold string I'm gonna go ahead and tie it onto the moss pole with. It's actually getting quite late. It's been a little over 3 hours since I started, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little tired. But I have lots of things. I have been using saran wrap on my moss pools, and it is the only way I can live with moss pools because they need a lot of watering and attention, and I don't have a lot of, I just am not a waterer. So the cool thing about these is that they were actually already had pretty good roots on them because I had them in a prop box. So if you haven't used a prop box, please use a prop box. They're amazing. Totally have changed the game for me. Just trying to get the roots to stay first, and then I'll probably tie them on afterwards. I'm breaking a lot of roots, which is not good, but it will. I think this is kind of gonna be perfect. Ta-da! I'm really bad at tying knots. Okay, I think I got a knot tied. Okay. It would have worked a lot better with clips or something, but I did get it kind of tied onto the moss pole, and then I'm just gonna add some extra moss in the middle. I'll remove it later once the roots are formed, but I've noticed this works like really great. I usually do a moss and perlite mixture, so it's a little bit lighter. I just used one of my old moss and perlite mixes from one of my propagations. It doesn't need to be like perfect moss. So this is what it looks like now, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna work pretty well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my grow room closet with my other moss pools, so I remember to water it and water the moss pool. And then we need to water my plants. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my plant closet with my other moss pools, so I remember to water it. And then I really need to water all of my plants and take care of plant neglect. Okay, so I forgot. I'm gonna put this on a moss pool. You can see it got like super leggy because it wasn't climbing, and I got some comments that said they would recommend putting it on a moss pole, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I cut this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I have this. This is just some like metal that I tried to make my own moss pole a while ago, and it kind of works really great for small moss poles. So I'm gonna stuff this with moss. I'm just using old moss because there's no reason. I don't think there's any reason I need to use new moss for moss pole. And I actually have it formed to where this part is just open. This part doesn't have moss in it. I might take out a little bit of the bottom moss. So I just clipped it so I can put it in the pot. This will stick in the pot really easy, and then it has the moss pole. I think this is gonna work pretty wonderfully. Wow. A decent amount of the plant covered with this, because I'm telling you, this hack has like helped me so much. Then I just put some moss right there too, and it's on a cute little moss pole. I secured it just with the saran wrap pressing seal, and I'm gonna go add this as well. So this is my apartment. It's gonna get dark in a couple hours. So I'm gonna go ahead and sweep and clean everything since I'm done repotting, and then I'm gonna get to the watering, and I'll just kind of maintain my plants as I water them. So now I'm gonna water my plants. I reuse old cups from Starbucks, and first thing I do is I lay them all out in my sink. Honestly, it just makes it really easy to carry, and they're like the perfect size. The nice thing about having them in this tub with the Coca-Cola or the leca under it is that they get a little bit of extra love from the roots. The roots get a little bit of extra love, and I don't really have to worry about it too much. It kind of just self-sustains. If I miss one for a week, I can pour in, I usually try to pour in a little bit extra just so it's a nice shower. And then the leca at the bottom is wet. Also helps with humidity. So I'm just gonna go ahead and water them. They've been doing really well for me lately. Like, I don't know what happened, or if they just like started liking me or something, but they've been so nice to me lately. It's been so much more fun to grow them. And I don't know, maybe they're just like, I'm starting to see a lot of new growth points. Maybe they're just like starting to like me or something. This is a new leaf. Wow. This is so pretty. I just can't believe it. And then look at this new leaf. It's beautiful. And my bambino, I've really been liking my bambino lately. It's just they've been like super nice to me, and I'm kind of like loving alocasias now. That's the really nice thing about having the bins underneath, that you don't have to worry as much. And then whatever water misses the pot just like is in the silica and will either provide humidity or eventually the roots will touch. So like for example this one, you can see all the roots that are in the leca, so it's kind of like, okay, if I forget to water my plants for a week, I might be okay just because of the leca reserves. I feel like even in the last 5 days they've changed a lot. Loving that for them. So for alocasias, I spray isopropyl alcohol mixed with water on the bottom of their leaves because they're really prone to spider mites, and this helps kill the spider mites. Last week I washed the leaves and I sprayed this on it, but this week I'm just going to spray it on it. I haven't had too much damage with the isopropyl alcohol. Not perfect, but it's enough. Definitely not perfect, but I'm happy with it. Also, here's a little fun thing to share. Is you see that? That's a new leaf. It looks really good. This plant has been doing so well since I moved it in here. I think like in my living room, north-facing windows, just wasn't getting enough light. But this is one of my first moss pole plants. So, pretty exciting. I know it's still a little baby, but... And then I'm just gonna water my begonia door and take off some of the yellow leaves. Maybe I forgot to water this plant or something, because for some reason some of the leaves yellowed. And that's okay. One of my favorite things about having long nails is that you can kind of just pinch off the leaves. Give it a little extra water. This one looks good. You can kind of see in the cup it's like a little bit darker. I have these as well. This one's interesting because it kind of like slips over whenever it needs water. It's very dramatic like that. So I'll give it a little extra because it is a bigger plant. Oops. I'm a mess. It's been 5 hours since I started. I'm gonna finish watering the shelf, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you for watching so far. And my last video got 3,000 views, which is kind of blew my mind because I had so many hours of people listening to me talk about plants, which is kind of like amazing. I just want to say thanks for watching and thanks for being a part of the plant community. I was just like overwhelmed by all of your guys' kindness throughout this whole journey of mine. I feel like I might need to repot this next time because I think it just needs a bit more water retention. Big shout out to this plant. Look how long it is. It's like super long. It goes all the way to the floor. I also added this to my plant shelf today because I just felt like the Monstera Aranzonia was too cute to not, and I had this pot, which is adorable. Plants have been watered. I think I'm gonna call it a day. I have a goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers, and I'm currently at 835. So if you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. And I think you'll like this video, so go ahead and check it out.